Hello everyone and welcome back to the HCW YouTube channel. My name is Rate Wrestle and today's another UK Indie Spotlight review, and we want joined once again with Alton Thorne. How are you doing?
Not too bad, mate. I'm already bleeding for you. Look, I've just caught a scratch on my arm and I'm already bleeding. See?
Good
Hardcore. That's
grief.
how we do it.
You nearly sounded like Mankind then, Mick Foley and hardcore.
Hey,
um,
I'll take that.
I did see that you wanted to face him in a death match, one of them death on your Instagram recently, so that's cool. It seems like you Kumite guys have that in common. Malachi cut himself open on the show as well.
Yeah, on a piece of glass on the floor,
Yeah,
wasn't it?
just the most,
Yeah.
most random thing I've ever heard. I'll just cut myself in my office on a piece of glass on the floor.
Not quite so random for me because I'm covered in
Yeah.
scabs, so I'm just going to catch them all the time. I thought, it sounds horrible, I'm scabby, but, that's what happens when you keep throwing yourself through glass, I suppose.
Who knew that would be an issue? But yeah, so we're here to review the Kumite May 21st show. That was at Vines Bar. It's always at Vines Bar now because it's an incredible place to be. So the first matchup was Danny Darko versus Big Joe. Before I get into that, though, I would have, if I came 10 minutes earlier, it would have been halfway through the match because they kicked it off quite early, didn't they? Started about half two. I would assume that's because it's easier to clear up a death match, that kind of matchup, rather than to set it up at the end.
You assume wrong.
Oh,
The reason that they did it in that order was purely because Big Joe had another booking somewhere else later in the day.
Jesus
Um,
wept.
yeah. So for the first Kumite show, which I think the main event is on YouTube, but you can't find the rest of it.
Yeah.
Um, Joe came to our show from another show. He had already had a death match and came to our show to do another death match.
Yeah.
So when Joe told Matt and Fletch that he was double booked, or that he had the option to be double booked, they wanted to help him out because he's helped them out
Of
massively in
course,
the
yeah.
past. So what it did was it kind of played with the. It's not the ideal way you'd want. You don't really want to start with the heavy stuff and then move into the other stuff. But for the sake of Joe, who's like obviously one of the biggest draws in deathmatch wrestling, not just here but across the world, who's a lovely guy and deserves the opportunity to go do a couple of shows a day if he can. They decided to set it up that way so that he could do that.
No, it definitely worked. And the second match, which we'll discuss afterwards, kind of helped the transition anyway. But yeah, as I said, I just about turned up and it was about to start, so I was like, oh, that's lucky. But yeah, Danny Darko versus Big Joe. Absolute chaos as expected. It was a light tube slash just wooden board match. Light tubes all the way around the ring. Absolute just brutality. Both guys just went for it from the off because obviously Darko wants to win that title. Joe's been defending it for the last, well, since he's been there. And both guys are just tough as hell. There was so much going on though. There was like salt involved, which is just a grim sight when you see two men bleeding heavily and then Darko pouring salt all over everywhere. Did you get to catch this?
Yeah, I saw this one. I was terrified. um, Glass is never good. 200 light tubes, never
Yeah.
good. Always gonna hurt, but significantly worse without the padding on the ring.
Hmm.
Because the one thing that the padding does is lets the glass like sink slightly.
Yeah.
So when you land on the glass, you're not just landing on glass,
It's not full
kind of being
impact.
pushed
No.
down under your weight
Yeah.
slightly, right? Well, you take that away and you've just got the boards, and that glass has got nowhere to go. And Danny Darko never really wrestles with a shirt on. So I watched that match like this
Mm.
because I just didn't know what the fuck was going to happen. Really, really dangerous scenario. But those two are the best in the world, and of course they pulled it off, and it was a bloody awesome match.
Yeah, like if anyone, obviously it's going to be on IWTV soon, but yeah, if you can see it, it's just two deathmatch kind of like legends. I would say at this point, is absolutely mauling each other. And surprisingly, like I didn't see it coming. Darko picked up the win, and he is now the Death Wolves champion. It felt weird. It felt like an end of an era because obviously Kumite Joe has been leading it to kind of where it is. There's suddenly Darko to take over. It felt like an end of an era. Obviously, Joe is back. He's not leaving. It just felt like an end of an era, start of a new one.
Agreed. Agreed. I think it's Darko's time.
Hmm.
I think Joe. It will always be Joe's time because he's so goddamn good and so omnipresent through deathmatch. But Joe's doing lots of different things, big things all over the place. And Danny, really, the ball's only just started rolling properly for him, which is a travesty because he's an incredible wrestler. Not just a deathmatch wrestler, I think he's a fantastic wrestler. So it's nice to see companies start to throw their weight behind him, and I think Kumite are kind of leading the charge with that. Danny can be the face of a deathmatch company, and I think he's got a chance to prove it now.
No, definitely, and like what a way to kind of like to start it with a deathmatch like that. But just unbelievable. So obviously, they had to clear up the wreckage of this. So out of nowhere, I didn't know this was actually a match. David Grant and Jacko Clubs just started brawling, and it was just like a magician trick. If you don't pay attention to the ring, just pay attention to this chaos over here. So I'm not one of these people that kind of follows around. I kind of stay where I am if I can see it, because you don't want to get involved in the way of people.
Yeah, for sure.
So I didn't see much of it. Like there was one stage where Jack got slammed on the bench next to me, and I don't think they realised there was an ashtray underneath it, and it just exploded under him, and he just went, "Oh!" Like, I didn't think he expected it. And then there was just a lot of titty twisters and just absolute chaos. It was just kind of like a way of like bringing the crowd like comedy, kind of like bringing the kind of like it down a bit. Obviously after the absolute chaos at the start, both guys. Like Jack Club's first time I've ever seen him, but he's a funny guy. I'll be honest, like he really timed well with this. And David Gray won, I believe. I just heard pain and agony in the background.
Right. So I think because you didn't get to see it all, you missed one of the most horrific spots I've ever seen in my life, deathmatch or not.
Okay.
Yeah. So, Jack got a bottle of hot sauce and he tried to pour it into David Grant's face and realized that, the little white label that you have to take off sauce bottles,
Yeah.
it was still on. So he unscrews the little squirty top thing and takes off the label. And I'm thinking at this point, I'm immediately thinking, put the squirty top back on, put the squirty top back on.
Yeah.
He does not put the squirty top back on. He grabs David Grant and he goes like that. And what you see is a giant splodge of hot sauce fly out of the bottle and directly into David Grant's eye.
Oh no. No.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
Like it it's probably just thinking about it. But honestly, I didn't see. I know I was talking about how much the first match like was making me cringe, and I watched it like through my hand, through my hands. No, I didn't see a spot any more painful than that spot in that match all night. David Grant was struggling. Like he washed it out with cider. I think that's how desperate he was.
yeah, like but like I've just when you've accidentally touched your eye after you've had like a chili and
Yeah,
stuff like,
yeah,
and
yeah,
it
yeah.
like it murders you. I can imagine a splodge of it in your eye. Like, just remove
Put
the
the
eye.
top back on. Put the top back on. Little bit will do.
So what you're saying is Jacko Clubs is not safe. You can't be.
Jack and David Grant both wrestle for Future, so I know both of them quite well, and they're both fantastic wrestlers who have a lot of character, a lot of energy, perfect for that kind of when you need a distraction. They can do that. They can do that all day. So yeah, really enjoyable. I thought.
Yeah, so that's one I'll definitely have to re-watch in IWTV, just because I wouldn't be able to catch much of it. But that sounds horrific. Anyway, moving on, we were followed with Roughneck versus Tyler Owens. So Roughneck's a bit of a bully. There's no way of kind of going like a guy that doesn't want a deathmatch wrestle, doesn't want anything to do that. He's brutal without being involved in death matches. He was just beating up on Tyler Owens like he owed him money at one point. Just like, and there was some weird things happening in this match. I don't like. At one point, Roughneck was chopping a guy outside the ring. I don't know if you got to see this. This random. I don't know who he was. I think he was just trying to get involved too much, and Roughneck decided, gee, if you want to get involved, and absolutely brutalised this gentleman. But yeah,
and they weren't even the biggest chops of the night.
No. Yeah, we'll get to them. But yeah, he brutalised this guy. Owens kind of used that as a distraction and kind of got a bit up on Roughneck. But I think Roughneck was a bit too much for Tyler Owens. And Roughneck did pick up the win. But this was a fun matchup. It's weird to say because Roughneck's the way he is, but he's fun to watch.
Yeah.
Like, he's just like an evil bad guy, like villain, like in like in like the
Giant
East End.
prick.
Yeah, like in the gangster movies, is that kind of brute that you want to see just beat someone up.
20-year veteran. Been in a lot of big companies. Did a lot for TNT down the years and things like that. Fantastic, lovely guy outside of the ring. But he's the biggest prick I've ever met inside it. Like there's, and Tyler Owens had what I consider to be one of the best Kumite matches ever with Antonio Gonzalez.
Yeah.
Which is just an absolutely killer match. Unbelievable. So I was happy to see him get a chance to come back and show what he can do. Unfortunately, it was against a massive knobhead. But I don't think that's done there. Like I think Roughneck did overwhelm him, but I think there'll be more to that. I think they'll fight again.
And the Tyler Owens match you mentioned, that's on YouTube as well. If you people check it out,
Yes, it is.
Like I watched it on MLWTV, but it's a really, really good match. And
it's one of the best examples of hybrid wrestling. You're like kind of hardcore / standard wrestling that you're going to see. I think, especially in this country.
Yeah, and check it out on YouTube free, all you want. And then obviously I can't remember his name, which I feel like he's going to be annoyed that I can't. His manager, who's really good, Adams.
Magic Mark.
He's a bit of a dick as well. But he knows how to kind of like twist the people that he's with to go on to drink his Kool-Aid. Is that pretty much how I would say it?
Yeah.
So
Mark's one of the best commentators in the country as well. I've got a hell of a lot of respect for him. Like it's amazing how many like top quality people Kumite has through the doors. Like these are people that are doing bits all over the place, or have done bits all over the place. And Mark's another one. Like he's been involved in wrestling for longer than I have, I think. Quite a bit longer than I have. I think he's been around for like 16 years or so. And he's done every kind of role in the industry. And longevity proves out in the end. He's still here doing it because he can talk. He's got charisma. He's always got good ideas. Douchebag, but very talented.
Love how you sign off on that on each person. Roughneck, not a just brick. But yeah, look, it shows Kumite. Like you have the veteran kind of people like Roughneck himself and that lot, and then you have the newer people. And it's a good mixture. This was followed up by the team of the Go Face Killers, which is Big Van Veska and Lucille Lee versus Joseph Cardinal and Rourke. So this was a fun matchup because you had the two big guys, Big Van Veska and Rourke, so that was kind of a good thing to see. But also Lucille Lee thinks she's a big tough guy as well, so it's kind of she really adds an element to it. It was a switch of pace from obviously the Roughneck was just like a beatdown kind of match. This was more like a fun-loving, like good wrestling match, but also kind of got the crowd involved and like they both all kind of get the everyone in. Obviously, meaty men slapping each other at one point. Lucille Lee trying to do suplexes on the bigger guys, which is always good to see, and which you might get in the future as we've discussed it later on. And what I really like this match, I really enjoyed the finish. If you got to see it,
I didn't.
Very good finish. Basically, Van Resk got a chain, picked up a chain, hit Rourke in the head. Rourke landed flat on Lucia while she was behind him, and 1, 2, 3 couldn't get him off because he was out cold. So good. Like
Good finish.
it's just so good because all you heard was go there's nothing she could do. But yeah, very good matchup. Joseph shows that, like, obviously he gets the hometown reaction because literally he works there at one point. But like every person in that match just really hit it out of the bag, and kind of showed Kumite of like the hybrid of the place where it is you don't need just full on deathmatch wrestling to have a good match.
Well, the thing that Malachi and Fletcher have done that I think is the most impressive is that they've kind of like hoovered up the very best guys in the Midlands that are kind of people don't know that much about, you know. Somebody like Rourke deserves a hell of a lot more. Yeah, people should know about him because he's very, very, very good at what he does. For a big guy, he can move. He's, he's super strong. I think Wesker and Rourke going into this match were both quite injured, so they had a lot to work around and did a fantastic job of it. We spoke about Joe Cardinal last time when we know how good he is. Lucia Lee, one of the best in the country. I think her crowd interaction, I think her aggression, her striking, she's going to be around doing it for a long time. Unless I beat the crap out of her in a couple of weeks' time and we don't see her again, one or the other.
Yeah, I thought you'd get that in there then. So yeah, I've been lucky enough to see Lucy a lot because she like Kamikaze's her home company, the one I go to a lot.
Yeah.
And she's just so good. Like it's like wrestling wise, like she can get the crowd on board, but also she's very technically wrestling submission based, so very good in the ring. So I'm gutted I won't be able to see your match with her. I'll be honest. So I'm hearing big things about that.
Well, I don't remember when it is. Bear with me 1 second. I'll pull it up. I'll get the date for you. But I will be wrestling Lucia Lee and beating Lucia Lee on the 24th of June for the Destiny title at Future. So that's a singles match. She is very tough. She is one of the hardest strikers in the country. I've seen her knock 8-9 people out cold. You can't knock me out. I've just had a match with Gary J and I knocked him out. Let's be serious here.
Spoilers.
I'm taking that title. I'm taking that title.
To be fair, you will be doing her a favour because I heard that title was pretty heavy. So.
Not too heavy for me, my friend.
Here we go. So we'll move on to another part of them, which you're pretty much involved in this anyway. So we had Harley Harris, who I will rave about in one moment, versus Kyle Kingsley. So me and Malachi, the preview described this as it's going to be like a hoss fight, and it didn't disappoint in that kind of essence. Harley Harris is so good. Just so I only just got to see her live the week prior at Wolf Run, and she picked up the title there. She's just so good in the ring, and she's just the intensity of doesn't care if it's a man or a woman, she's going to murder someone. That's what it's like.
That's why she's my tag team partner.
Yeah,
we've been in a tag team called Hellbound for, I think she's been in it for like five years. We debuted on the same show. I know Harley really, really well. And what I love about Harley is she beats people up.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I look for in wrestlers. Harley will beat you up. She no airs and graces. She can do flashy stuff. She doesn't bother. She just beats people up. I think that's a brilliant quality to have. A perfect tag team partner for me. And I think she won that match as well, didn't she?
Yeah, she did. Straight up as well. No kind of like shenanigans or anything. Just straight up beat him. There was some few like Lego and stuff involved in it, which Lego's not a fun time. And just like brutal strikes between them. They weren't giving anything for that. But yeah, as you said, Harley did pick up the win. And then Kingsley hit her with a hammer. Just full on nailed her, and then decided to call yourself out. And you appeared out of nowhere, as in, I was just looking at him, and I was like, oh, he's going to come from behind, and you're already in the ring, and I was like, and he fled like a scolded dog, just ran.
Yeah. I think I dropped a C-bomb. I think I called him a. Don't hit my tag team partner with a hammer would be the.
Yeah, especially if you've lost cleanly, except you've lost, not.
Exactly, and then he was like, I wasn't even bothered about this match anyway. I'm only bothered
Yeah.
about your tag point. Shut the fuck up. Like, focus on your match and then get to the other stuff later. You know, the problem with Kingsley is that he knows that he's really talented, right? He knows that he's been at that level for a very long time. He's just got this kind of arrogance about him. But at the end of the day, no, the fans don't need Kingsley Kumite. He's, you know, come down, be a prick, shove somebody's face in a cake. They don't need that. Like, anybody can do that. So Kingsley either needs to like ship up or fuck off. Like, honestly, at this point, I'll tell you straight up. It hasn't been announced yet, but there will be
Yeah.
a match announced for the next show. I'm going to be tagging with Harley. Kingsley can bring whoever the fuck he wants. Because you don't get to march around Kumite and act like the big dog. That's my place, right? We've got this best of 5 thing going on, and we've already had one of the matches, and I beat him.
Yeah.
Right? I will beat him again. I've been beating him for a decade, so. I've more than accepted his challenge. I'll wrestle him anytime, any place, any fucking way. Bring him on.
That sounds. It's like first time we'll be seeing you two tag together, so I'm looking forward to that straight away. But yeah, as you said prior to this, he said he didn't care about the match, which is a weird way of going about something. I'd rather challenge someone else and just lose this match. It doesn't really build the confidence. Yeah.
Stupid.
Um,
Moron.
but yeah, it's looking forward to that. So whoever Kingsley bring, it's going to be a difficult task for them straight away with you and Harley together as a tag team. Is just silly.
He could bring a machine gun and he's still not beating us. Like,
I think
is what it is.
I think he's signed to WWE. I don't think he can bring the machine gun.
Okay, fair point, yeah.
Actually, if you give him enough money, Carl Anderson will come anyway. But yeah, we'll go to a light. I was going to say a lighter tone. Jason Joshua versus Vuda Queen wasn't really a lighter tone. So these two have already fought Kumite and had a brutal match. So they decided let's fight a Kumite again and have a brutal match. This was just chaos. Mara brought the PS2 games again, which just makes me happy. Just a basket of PS2 games flying everywhere at people. The thumbnail jock strap. So for a visual recognition, Joshua put on a jock strap, thumbnails on the cup side of it, and did his usual cock thrust into Mara's face, busted straight open. Just not. It's a weird thing to look at because it looks funny, but it looks brutal at the same. I don't know how to explain it well.
That is one of the like keystones of Kumite, though, right? Is these weapons that are so ridiculous and slapstick that they're borderline funny, but also quite clearly very painful and dangerous. It is a weird mix. It's like I always think of it as that kind of humor you get in Evil Dead.
Yeah.
You know, like or Return of the Living Dead, you know, like kind of horror gore humor, basically.
Yeah, it's just something to see, I'll be honest. But yeah, absolute chaos between them both. Morris did pick up the win, and in the end, people noticed that Jason went off with Magic Mike. So there's some weird stuff going on behind the scenes that people need to watch out for with Magic Mike recruiting people, it seems. But yeah, overall, really good match. Both people, Jason Joshua is just incredible to see in the ring. And Vuda Queen always gives her all. Doesn't matter what kind of match she's in, she just beats the crap out of people and loves it.
And my God, is she over? I think she's changing her name. I think she's calling herself Lucy now.
Ah, okay.
But yeah, she's so over. Right, just bring high energy. You know, something to react to. She's always like, you know when she's appeared. Like you can hear her from a mile away. Like full energy. I love it. I think it's amazing.
Yeah, you can hear her before you see her. It's that's the kind of thing. But yeah, she kind of brings the energy. Crowd loves her, and she's just good in the ring as well, which helps. And she's no nonsense as well. So like she's good. She's got good comedy timing. Like she'll be beating someone up, and then she'll just throw a one-liner out and be like, "Hold on." It's like,
she's very funny. She's very funny.
So moving on from that, we had a match which I'll let you discuss a lot because it was a very, very good match. Yourself, Alton Thorne, versus America's own Unsigned and Doesn't Care, Gary J. Just take it away. I just enjoyed it.
I've watched. I mentioned it last time. I've watched Gary J matches for 4 years, I think. Like,
Mm,
seen him at Beyond and Black Label and ICW No Odds Barred, and I hadn't really seen any St. Louis until I wrestled him.
yeah,
But like, I was kind of aware of it because it's on IWTV, so I knew what he was as a wrestler. I knew what I was going to be getting myself
yeah,
into. Uh, I called him out knowing that's what I was going to get, and that's what I got. Gary J is one. He won't like me saying this because he likes to say that he's just a guy, but he's one of the best strikers in the world. He's definitely the hardest striker I've ever faced in a wrestling ring. In fact, I was speaking to Clint Margera at the Rise show, and Clint agreed because he had faced him at North
yeah.
that nobody hits harder than Gary J. Those chops are preposterous. They are fucking ridiculous. My chest is still slightly orange. Literally, it's still bruised up
Yeah,
there.
the image on
Um,
Instagram straight away. Your chest is all.
it was the hardest anybody's ever hit me. It was the toughest fight I've ever had. It was the first time I'd ever wrestled an import as well, which for a wrestler is a big spot on any card because it means that the promoters are entrusting you.
Mm,
You know, there's like these guys are coming over to do this, and we believe that you will have a quality match with them. So it was kind of a big thing for me in multiple ways. And I think the what we wanted to do was give everybody one of the most hardcore matches on the show without using a single weapon. And based on your reaction after the match, I think we probably did that, right?
yeah, like it was just silly. As I said, like without involving weapons or anything like that. Gary J, for people who like Gary J's not a big guy, like as in like but like the striking's like he's flipping. Like I'm going. He looks like he strikes like he is Volta. Like it makes no sense. It was just brutal. Like yeah, it's hard to explain how. Like the insanity of the striking in this match from both yourselves as well, giving Gary J, but you gave as good as you could take with it.
I can strike, but
Yeah,
there are
it's
levels. There are levels. Like my chops are good chops, and next to his chops, they're just like his chops are so loud that I could literally hear them ring up from my chest. Like every time it's like, boosh,
yeah,
unbelievable. But no, I tried to give as good as I got, and eventually I did manage to hit him with like a big punch forearm type thing that did get the win. But let's be honest, he beat the fuck out of me. He
yeah,
beat the fuck out of me for 15 minutes or so. Like,
yeah. It made you earn it. Like, no, like, you same with the chops as well. Before we move past the chop, like the chops are one of the ones where the crowd reacts more of like, woo. It's like, oh,
yeah, by the end, people felt sorry for me.
please don't hurt him.
Like they haven't felt sorry for me in death matches, but in that match, everybody was like, "Oh, please stop hitting him like that." Like,
Yeah,
goes to show, doesn't it?
and obviously this match was big for me because obviously I'm a big fan of Gary J. And what I really enjoyed it was for me. Gary J hit a dive on you. Outside the ring, he turned to me and went, "That's for you." And sci 5 minutes, I was like, yeah. So he remembered, which was always nice. But yeah, as you said, you did pick up the win. You knocked him clean out. And then Gary came on the mic and really he throwed some respect towards your way, which is always good for someone coming over to do that.
Yeah,
Um,
I think that I've now had Clint Margera and Gary J both say on live mics that Kumite is my stomping ground.
mm,
So, there's like 40 years experience between them.
yeah.
I think it's safe to say that like I've staked my claim. I'll be coming for that title as soon as I'm done with Kingsley.
Yeah, and that's why I bring you on here because I see you as Mr. Kumite after what I've seen. You are the like lifeblood of it. You have like Joe who kind of carried it, like the highlight the main for him, but you were the yeah. But yeah, overall, really good match. As I said, I really enjoyed it. It was, as I said, nice to see Gary J, and then you to have the chance to fight Gary J. And I got to speak to him afterwards, and he's stupidly nice. He's so humble, and like he doesn't realise how big of a influence he is on people, and he was like really shocked that people knew him from the UK,
Mm,
let alone that wanted
mm,
to come see him.
yeah.
And I'm hoping
No, you're right. He's a really cool dude. I set up a seminar for him at my
yeah, I
old
saw
school
that.
House of
Yeah,
Pain, and he stayed over that night, so we had a bit of time to talk wrestling before we got to beat the crap out of each other. And he's a lovely, humble guy, um, who's just a wealth of knowledge as well about wrestling. So it was a genuine pleasure to have had the opportunity, and I can only, thank Gary and Matt and Fletch for giving me these kind of opportunities, because they've changed my life to a certain extent. They've certainly changed my wrestling career. And it's moments like that that make them. So,
yeah, and it was a really good standout moment. And Gary, I was speaking to him afterwards, and he said he is going to attempt to come back next year. So I'm really, hopefully, looking forward to that. Because Gary J's brilliant. But yeah, we'll move on to a match which I described with Malachi when it was announced that it was stupid, and not in a bad in like it just like you look at the people that are in it. So death match. So you got Clint Margera and Tommbie. So instantly you thought, oh, that'd just be good enough as itself. Then you throw Lou Nixon in it. I was like, that's fair enough. And then you throw Antonio Gonzalez in it, and it just kind of reiterated it that it was just chaos. It's like stupid chaos. Like the amount of graphic violence that happened in that match was. Did you get to see it afterwards on the?
saw the whole thing.
Hmm,
Um, it's the past, present, and future of deathmatch in this country, right? You got Clint, who's the OG. He's
yeah,
been doing this for longer than most people knew it was even happening in this country. So you've got, like, he represents the past, and obviously he's still going strong, like showing no signs of like giving. In fact, he's doing more traveling now than I think he has before. So, there's the past, and then you got the present in Lou, who is currently one of the biggest stars in XPW, facing all of their top guys, traveling the world doing this. So he's the guy. And then you got the future in Tommbie and Antonio, two guys who came up through Kumite essentially, and are now staking their claim in the deathmatch scene. So I thought it's one of those matches. It's one of those matches that had everything that Kumite is about, just a little bit of everything, a little bit of craziness, a little bit of intensity, a little bit of just everything, a little bit of humor,
yeah,
all in there. It's just there are certain matches that happen on these shows where I just say, if you want to know what Kumite is about, go watch that match. And this is one of those matches. That's what Kumite is about. The cross section of all different kinds of talent, all different styles, coming together to put on some fucking art.
yeah.
That's what it is. Some fucking
Um,
art.
and I think someone posted it. There's one image that can kind of sum up Kumite, and it was Tommbie coming out of a coffin, bleeding, just like after being drilled into a light tube coffin, which just sounds
That
mortifying.
sounds horrible and
Yeah.
looks even better because he lands in the coffin and the spooky dust comes shooting out of the coffin, and it makes for a hell of an image. This is what I mean. This is why I say it's art, right? Because you don't get that kind of imagery in any other style of wrestling. Like, it's such a strange, like, incredible visual, like with striking red of blood and the
Hmm.
white of light tubes and the dust flying out. It's just so cool.
Yeah, and it couldn't have been anyone more perfect to do that than Tommbie. I would like the Death Zombie. Uh,
Fucking nutter.
yeah,
Like, there was one part of that match where he looked like a porcupine. What the hell was going on?
yeah, like Mickey Mouse flipping spikes. That so like it was yeah. He took a lot. It's just like it's hard to describe these matches. It's always best like I don't like to give away as much as possible because watch it on IWTV. But yeah, Death Coffin. Tommbie's head was absolutely obliterated. Just stupidity. Um,
Whilst we're on the subject of Tomby, let me just say something.
mm,
I reckon, like, when it comes down to brass tacks, when Antonio's had his shot and failed because he ain't ready yet, Darko will beat him, in my opinion.
mm,
Um, but he's got a fighting chance, but I think it'll be Darko. And I think that the next two competitors are likely to be either me or Tommbie.
Yeah.
So I just want to say this: if I've got to go through Tommbie to get to the Deathwolf title, that's not a fucking problem. He's got a win over me already. The first time we faced each other, the last time we faced each other, he picked up the win. But I am so fucking sick to death of hearing him whinging and moaning about his spots on shows and about pots and pans and about doing this kind of wrestling that's a little bit more, not quite 18 plus. And quite frankly, those hardcore matches, those kind of matches are the gateway drug for people to like the deathmatch stuff. And when you're given a role, you take it and you run with it and you do the best you can. Now, I wasn't given a deathmatch on the last show, but you didn't hear me whine, bitch, or complain about it. What I did was I strapped him up and I beat one of the best in the world, because that's what you do. You don't moan, you don't cry, you get in the ring and you fight and you prove yourself. So Tommbie, it's about time you stopped fucking whining like a little baby and crying in your 7-minute long promos where you shriek and rant, and instead of that, step up. Take your chances. Take your opportunities. When it comes down to me and you, it will be me. And I will be moving on to the Deathwolf title. And you can clip that and you can put it all over the fucking internet.
Shots fired. So yeah, Kingsley, Tommbie, watch out, definitely.
Kingsley first.
there's a pecking order. There's a queue first. Come on. But yeah. So as you said, Antonio did pick up the win. So he's going to be on to face Danny Darko. Just overall, this show had everything on it. As I said, like it started with a deathmatch, ended with a deathmatch, started with insanity, ended with insanity. Comedy, build up your match with Gary J, which was a death match in my eyes with no weapons. It was just like insanity. It was just a very good show. So it's not out yet, but obviously check it as soon as it's on the TV.
I think it's next week. I think it lands next week.
So by the time this is out, it probably will be out. Because I'm going to be releasing this a week Saturday. So this will be out by then. And then we'll do a proper preview on this. I'll probably get out of Fletcher and Malachi then. But the matches that have been announced for the next card. Like, for anyone that check out their the Kumite's Facebook, you've got, Darko Gonzalez, obviously, was announced due to this match. Then you've got Clint Margeri versus Tommbie. Lou Nixon versus a debut in Fate, who just looks like a beast of a guy.
Franco Fate, I can tell you about him. He came out of House of Pain School. He is, he's straight up tough guy fighter. Like, he's a perfect competition for Lou Nixon, right? Because he won't back down, he will brawl, he's very strong, he's technically minded, so he can do that side of the game as well. I think what you're going to have here from Nixon and Franco Fate is pretty much a shoot wrestling fight. It'll be the next show's closest equivalent to me and Gary J.
Yeah. It's the card is like that, and then obviously Lou Nixon's legit. As I said on Twitter, what's we could say, scaring people off by just throwing them in the deep end. Lou Nixon, just like that.
That's not what Kumite does. What Kumite does is it throws people in the deep end and sees who can swim, right?
Yeah.
Now, if you're like me, it does wonders for your career because you just got to get up and do it. But there is a chance that you could sink as well. I think Jack Bennett's got that same issue, right? Because Antonio did pretty much beat him up.
Yeah.
On the other show, he did some stuff, but Antonio, he was in control for 70% of that match, I would say. Now, somebody like Jack Bennett, who is incredibly talented and incredibly tough, is gonna have to bring the fight to Joe. You can't beat Joe by sitting back. You've got to bring the fight to him, otherwise he'll overwhelm you. So there are a couple of people on the next show, Franco, Jack, that are going to prove whether they can sink or swim. And if they can swim, then the sky's the limit for him at Kumite.
Yeah, and I like, just for my own benefit, Joe versus Bennett looks like a dad that's sick of his son's shit. That's what it looks like. It looks like that match. It looks like he's just like, I'm just going to kill you. That's what that image looks like, and it's just Joe bleeding, and then you have like Jack Bennett just like that. It's like, I'm just sick of your shit. But yeah, so we'll do a proper preview on that. Obviously, there'll be a few more matches announced, but overall, Kumite has said like just a great place to be. So the tickets will be in the description. The next show, I believe, is July 16th. Vines Bar as usual. You've missed the early bird ticket, so fall on you.
And they sold like hotcakes as well. They flew out.
Yeah, because Kumite is just. It's probably one of the best places, if not the best place in the UK for deathmatch wrestling and just in general at the moment. Like that's me not just shelling a dream. I wouldn't just travel to Derby for nothing. I'm gonna be honest. Just everything from it, like the actual shows to the venue itself. Like you found the perfect venue. It's just overall fun feeling. But yeah, that's the end. So as usual, like and subscribe. We'll get more reviews as we can. We're on Twitch, Twitter, Facebook. It's all the same. Your Instagram's been down below your name once again. But you're different on different platforms. Your name is it, or is it the same one?
I think it's Alton Thorne on Twitter and Alton Thorne Wrestling on Instagram.
But you prefer Instagram because Twitter's a cesspool, if I remember.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Like Twitter's been quite handy for me because it kept me kind of relevant during lockdown. So I was able to come back and have plenty of bookings. But what I will say about it is it's not the nicest place in the world, is it? There's a lot of bitterness on there.
Yeah, it's just tribalism, Twitter. It's just like people's opinions are wrong. That's pretty much on Twitter. Like they don't realise. It's just angry man yells at cloud. That's pretty.
But I can't complain about it too much because if it wasn't for people on Twitter getting to know me a little bit, if it wasn't for people following me, then they wouldn't be asking for me on shows like Rise and TNT, and I wouldn't be making the impact I am at the moment. So I don't love it. I don't love everybody on it, but like I definitely appreciate it, and that the people on there have certainly helped my career. So can't say too much.
Double-edged sword, pretty much it. Yeah, it helps you, but it also is a terrible place to be at the same time.
100%.
But yeah, on that bombshell, thank you for coming on once again. It's been fun reviewing it with yourself.
Happy to do it again.
Excellent. You've booked yourself in now. Goodbye.